Hello, this is Stuart Roberts, founder of Haircuts for Homeless, and welcome to the Hear Me, See Me podcast. I'm going to be talking to people who are truly inspirational to me. Some you may have heard of, and some you haven't, but you really need to hear their story. Hello, this is Stuart from Hear Me, See Me podcast, and today I've got a guest who I've met very recently. But it's fascinating, you know, his story, and I love what he does. So today I'm talking to Chris Haycock from Kipbag. How are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm very well, thanks, Stuart. Thanks for inviting me along. I'm excited.
Yeah. Are you excited?
Yeah.
Oh, you're easily pleased, mate, aren't you?
Oh, I am, yeah, definitely. I don't get out much.
Don't get out much, yeah. No, we met recently because Sarah's Trust, the Duchy of York's charity, they sort of contacted us separately to get together and do this. We did something earlier on. I won't say too much because you can tell us your story, but we did something in the pandemic, and then just last week we've done something again. But please tell us about, you know, where you began with it all and your motivations for why you set up Kipbag.
Yeah, well, it's a bit of a long-winded story, but and in fact, it's a story that I usually find it really hard to start because it almost goes back to my childhood. So I'm going to try something a little bit different that I haven't done before to kind of kick off, the whole journey. And I'd like you to close your eyes and imagine for one moment that it is 2:00 in the morning. It's absolutely freezing cold. You're in one of the dodgiest places in London, in a dark alley. You are underneath a set of concrete stairs, outside, obviously. You are bitterly, bitterly cold right to the bones. You are absolutely starving. You've got no sleeping bag. You've got hardly any warm clothes. You've just got a light jacket. As I said, you're hungry, you're thirsty, you're tired. You've got the sound of the sirens going past. You're scared for your life. And you cannot wait until the morning comes to when you can actually get on the Circle line on the tube just to get an hour's sleep. And the worst thing of all is that you know that this, from here on, this is your life. This is how you lead your life. Okay, so that's something a little bit different for a change to kick things off. And that's exactly where I was when I was 22. And things had taken a bit of a turn for the worse because I left the Navy. I spent 5 years in the Navy, traveling the world, and I had a nice, secure job. It was a good job in the Navy as well. I was handling cryptographic material, top secret and above materials, passing it from department to department into government. And things were good, but I wasn't really satisfied with that. I needed to be able to fulfill my own destiny. And you can't really do that in the forces. You know, you get told to do something and you go ahead and do it. You know, there's no flexibility to do whatever you want to in life and to fulfill your ambitions. So I decided to leave the Navy. And because I was working in Northwood, a massive underground bunker, so to speak, in North London, I decided to do what's the name of that guy that went to London to seek his fortune? What's his name again?
Oh, Dick Whittington.
Dick Whittington, yeah. So I decided to do a bit of a Dick Whittington and head to London,
Where the streets are paved with gold.
Exactly, yeah. And little did I find that, you know, there wasn't any. And I ended up working for this quite dodgy company who were operating a pyramid selling scheme, selling stuff door to door. So that's what I was doing. But then I got fired from that job because I got mugged twice both of them at knife point. Once in Broadwater Farm in Tottenham, where I accidentally stumbled across, and I had all of my belongings stolen from me. And again on the tube late at night, massive bag of merchandise, and basically I had nothing left, and the company that I was working for decided to fire me because I couldn't even look after my own belongings. So I ended up in this situation after spending a few months sofa surfing, just trying to get by, and I found myself in the cold, in the dark, alone, very, very scared, with £1 coin left to my name. And I realized that I needed to do something with this pound. This was my last pound ever. I had to do something with it. So I thought, I can either spend it on a bag of chips, or I can actually do something productive with it and hope that I can get myself out of this situation. Because, as I said, it suddenly dawned on me that this could be my life, and this could finish me off. So I thought, right, okay. And because of my contacts in doing the door-to-door sales, I knew of a wholesaler in London where I could go and take that last £1 coin and just beg them to buy one of something, which is quite unusual. You go to a wholesaler, they won't. You got £1, they get out. But I begged this guy to buy one single thing, and that thing was a toy mobile phone.
Right.
And at the time, it was just when mobile phones were becoming quite popular.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, if I take this mobile phone door to door as I did before and sell it for £3, then okay, right, well, I could at least feed myself then. So I went door to door, knocking door to door. Hello, you're doing this, the old sales pitch and everything, and eventually I sold it for £3. And I went and ate that bag of chips that I craved, and I was like, "Oh yeah, this is amazing! I've got some food inside me," and I had a couple of pounds left, and I thought, right, I'm going to go back to that wholesaler and buy 3 of them because it would cost 67p each. So I bought 3 of them, and I thought, okay, well, I'm going to repeat what I've just done, and then went back out, knocking door to door, selling each one, and I made £9. And then I went back to the wholesaler, and with that £9, I bought a whole lot more, plus a bag to actually keep it in. And then over the course of the next few weeks, I just kept repeating that process and repeating it over and over and over again, until I got to the point where I was making enough money to be able to stay in a backpackers hostel in Earl's Court.
Yeah.
And that was £9 a night, and I was like, yes, I finally felt as though I was back in real society again. It might have been a backpackers hostel, but I had a bed for the first time in months, and it was just the best thing ever. And I kept doing that over and over again, to going back to the wholesaler, buying these toys, and then when that got a bit saturated, I went and bought things like pots and pans, other toys, household stuff, basically just a pile of crap.
Yeah.
But I just went out there and sold it until I sold everything. Sometimes I'd be working right up until 11, 12 o'clock at night, just to make sure that I had enough money just to stay in the hostel overnight. And then basically things just grew from there. The backpackers hostel decided to take me on as their night manager, which was brilliant because I could do what I was doing during the day, going out there selling stuff, but then staying there for free at night because I was looking after the backpackers hostel, checking people in, and I was getting a little bit of kip as well because it was quite a relaxed kind of place. So then it really grew from there, and I really decided that, okay, I like this hotel lark.
Yeah,
I decided to move to Torquay. Loads of hotels there. I thought I can make it in Torquay. it's not so cutthroat as London, but I can actually start off a career in catering. And I thought, okay, let's go there. And I struggled. I really struggled because no one wanted me because I didn't have any ID. My ID had all been stolen or lost.
Yeah.
I didn't have a bank account. I still basically was living the life of a homeless person without any identity.
Yeah.
But eventually, a hotel called the Rainbow Hotel, 3-star hotel in London, in Torquay, decided to hire me as the duty manager, a junior duty manager. And I basically made my way right the way through up to hotel manager. Then I became one of the youngest pub landlords in the whole of Devon at one point. But unfortunately,
I was waiting for a part.
I told you there were some twists.
I love a twist.
This was the rave era.
All right.
And I got into drugs and alcohol, and I eventually became homeless again. And I lost everything once over and over again. And it just seemed like this unending story of despair and depression and drugs, and but I still had that burning desire to get ahead. So I just used to just keep picking myself up over and over again until I eventually moved from Torquay, and I started to learn about marketing. And marketing was finally the thing that changed everything for me, because I got into the digital side of marketing and building websites. And this was right at the start of the internet back in 1996 or so. Yeah. And everyone loved me because I could build websites. And before I knew it, one of the top law firms in London hired me as their webmaster. And I was on £42,000 a year. And I was like, oh, my God, I'm rich.
Lottery money.
But it gave me the knowledge and skills to really grow from there. Yeah. And from then on, I started building my own websites, just, side projects that would earn, £100, £200 a month, just so I could get drinking money, basically. Yeah. And but then I realized that if I could build one website that earned £200 a month, I could build a whole network of websites and grow them. Yeah. And that's exactly what I did. And now I've got a network of around about 30 different websites, and all different doing different kinds of things. I've got a traffic update website. I've got a business directories. I've got a pilot radio telephony training platform. Oh, you name it. I've got fingers in so many pies you wouldn't believe it. But I was able to give up my job and concentrate on this full time back in 2011. And it was doing really well. So I incorporated it into a limited company, and I've grown bit by bit ever since. And now I've got a successful company. I'm now married. I've got a nice car, nice house. I managed to get my pilot's license. I bought an aeroplane even, and things were really rosy. But something wasn't quite right. And don't worry, I'll get into the end of the story.
I was waiting for this bit because it's fascinating with people. There's never enough, is there? Until you finally realise that you need something else. But
Well, the thing is, I still had this gnawing thing going on in the back of my head that I thought I'm missing something here, and what I was missing was giving something back.
Yeah.
And that was becoming more and more important to me. The fact that I'd made it. Basically, I'd taken that journey from being homeless to having a successful company, and I was earning more money than I really needed. Yeah. And I thought, I've got to do something now. So I thought, and I was going over to Birmingham to help out an amazing charity over in Birmingham called Homeless One, who feed the homeless every single night, 365 days a year.
Yeah.
And it suddenly dawned on me. I thought, what if I give out what if I give out sleeping bags?
Yeah.
And then I thought, yeah, but what if we give out sleeping bags with items in them?
Yeah.
And then it's suddenly this eureka moment where I thought, oh, this is it. This is what I can do to actually pay it forward. Well, it's kind of half paying it back and half paying it forward because
I get that.
The way that it worked. So I came up with the idea of having Kipbag, which is a charity that puts together homeless packs, which include a sleeping bag, toiletries, some warm clothing, first aid kit, an information sheet. So everything that a person needed, based on how I felt when I was homeless. I was cold. I didn't have anything. I wasn't able to wash. All those things that we take for granted are now contained in a kit bag, in a little sort of rucksack thing, and then we give them to the homeless. So it feels like I've come full circle, and it feels that what I'm doing has scratched that itch.
Yeah.
And I've never really been more satisfied, and it's kind of closed the whole loop.
That's it. Yeah.
And that basically is my story. And I've had to cut that down, believe it or not.
No, it's brilliant. I mean, your description of that feeling, that fear, and I think that's what sometimes people overlook. They tend to dwell on the discomfort of being homeless.
Yeah.
But people very rarely talk about the fear. And, when I first got into this world, I was so naive about it all. There's things, misconceptions I had. All homeless people, they're all drunks and drug addicts and all these things. I very quickly learned that's not the case. Some do drink, some take drugs, but it's not all of them. Sometimes they do it just for comfort. I mean, I'm 16 years recovered alcoholic. I'll get told off. Some people like to say recovering. I don't think it matters really. I had a drink for 16 years. I took any drugs, so that's the thing. But even I sometimes say I don't blame them. You're that cold. You're that and that you want the ease and comfort of a drink. Also, just purely to warm you up. That warm feeling. Yeah. You're going to get that quick. You instantly, like, you'll have a drink and you'll get that warm feeling. It's temporary. It leads to a lot more problems. But that fear, and I learned quickly that why do they all sleep? They all sleep all day. There must be, and I used to think, you won't sleep at night. But then once some bloke says to me, he said, look, I can't sleep at night. I might get, attacked, robbed, all these things. So I've got to keep on my feet all night. Come the morning when it's a bit safer, I'll find somewhere and get my head down.
Yeah, it's something that people don't realise, isn't it? That they get this misconception of homelessness, of rough sleeping in particular. That they have the same kind of routines as us. It's completely different, and even if you do find safety, it is so cold. You sit outside, even on a summer's night. If you're spending all night outside, it's still bloody cold.
Yeah.
It's still absolutely freezing in the summer. Never mind the winter. So during the day, at least you've got the safety and maybe a little bit more warmth as well. So you're absolutely right on that one.
Yeah. And I think other people, I didn't realise at all that how wet everything gets at night.
Yeah.
Everything gets soaking wet. And, like, I've done a couple of sleep outs and they were like, even they were all right. I thought I knew a lot again until I'd done that. Because I thought, it didn't rain.
Yeah.
It was cold. It didn't rain. Everything within about 45 minutes, everything was soaking wet. Because you're breathing. So you wrap yourself up and all the condensation and everything, and it's like trying to put your washing out at night. Don't do that because you leave it out soaking wet, and that's why if you do have a sleeping bag. I'm going to talk about sleeping bags because what I love about them is they're compact and lightweight, because people forget again, they got to carry this stuff around all the time, And I have had people say, oh, look, I've got this for someone, and I go, like, sorry, it's great, but they're gonna chuck it after a little while because there's big bulky thing, you know, or the big bulky things that people have to lay on, you know. You got to carry that around all the time. So your bags, I think, are well thought through. You know, they're lightweight, and those essentials inside make all the difference, because you're not just getting a bag with some rest. You've got those other, you know, you separated them out into women's and men's. You know, I had a look at, you know, and in the women's ones, you've got like a pair of clean knickers, you know, and you think, you know, like, how important for a lady to just get a pair of clean drawers, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of it is dignity, isn't it? You know, if you're giving someone a little bit of almost like personal care and you know, stuff to make them clean, you're giving people a little bit of dignity, and that's what's missing with a lot of people on the streets.
Yeah, because they, you know, where do you get a wash? You know, like it's, you know, recently, this week I did one, and a couple of people, and you know, I was sort of like cutting hair, and I was sort of like having to put my head to one side to take a breath, you know, because when I was around the front cutting, you know, it was very, very pungent, you know, this. Yeah. But you know, to not be out, I mean, and not, we underestimate a lovely warm shower. And if this morning has jumped in that lovely warm shower and gone, oh, have a shower, the actual the comfort and the feeling. Sometimes I make myself enjoy my shower. You know, I just go, right, hang on, Stu, this is a treat, you know, like, and you can, not in that way, but you can really enjoy a shower. I don't mean that. I'm not getting too personal.
You can enjoy it when you've not had one for some time. You know, when you know what it's really like to not have access to one. Yeah. And we take it for granted, don't we? You know, our little home comforts like running water or even just fresh water, warm. You know, those showers of bed, it's so easy to take it all for granted.
Yeah. I mean, when we first contacted each other through Sarah's Trust, I believe that was again. That was in the pandemic. Now, there was a massive problem. What people didn't realise is that at the beginning of the pandemic, it was wonderful. They got a lot of people inside, you know, and fair play. But what people didn't realise that there was this big announcement that we're getting everyone inside, and they did. They stood up to their word. What they didn't make a big announcement of was when they started kicking them out. Yeah. And that's that sort of time was, you know, particularly one of our groups in Milton Keynes really do it over and above. You know, they do all the haircutting what we do, but they, you know, lots of other things involved. And when I got the opportunity of these, I knew straight away they would use them well, so they got some. But you know, Hetty contacted me and said that they're all getting a day's notice, and they're all getting put out. But the problem was, all their stuff they'd got has gradually all disappeared. So now they're getting a day's notice, but they've got nothing. So your kit bags, I remember driving a lot up there to Hetty, and it was, you just knew they was going to make such a difference to people because you get declimatized. So you get acclimatized to being outside, but you soon get declimatized by being inside. Yeah. And it's almost like it's harder because you then got to face that again, and you're facing, but you've lost all your stuff. Yeah. You know, and that was an incredible time. I dropped some at Bethnal Green as well, and you know, it was so appreciated. So what you do, it is a wonderful thing, you know, like, because you don't want that for a pat on the back, but it's nice someone to remind yourself or someone to remind you. Yeah, it's worth that effort, you know.
Exactly. I mean, when because you mentioned about the pandemic and having it was a huge batch that the Duchess of York ordered from us. Yeah. And normally we don't do this sort of thing. We normally we say, well, you can't really order from us. No. You need to donate money through the website, and then we will distribute a sleeping bag to someone. So we've the last couple of times with the Duchess, we have made an exception. Admittedly, probably because it is the Duchess, and we weren't in a position to really say no.
Quite hard to say no to, isn't she?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it was amazing. The first 500 back in 2020, was it 20 or 21? I think it was 20, wasn't it?
I think it was 20, yeah.
Yeah. I remember because we couldn't really get hold of enough stuff because of the whole global transportation system had almost collapsed.
Yeah.
It was so difficult to get hold of everything, but eventually we got everything together for 500 kit bags, and it was just me, my wife, and my two twin girls who were at the time 8, all just in the lounge with a production line, just putting all 500 of them together. And it was. I thought, I don't know whether we can do this. I really don't know whether we can do it, but we persevered anyway. And it just that feeling of, because I took them down there personally to the Royal Lodge and stood there chatting with the Duchess for probably about half an hour or so in her grounds. Prince Andrew coming along and just saying, "Oh, hi." It was the most surreal experience ever, but it kind of it rekindled my passion for doing it in a way, because when you're doing charitable work so much, sometimes you get a little bit blasé about it, can't you?
Yeah.
Sometimes you think, oh, got to do this again. But then, some certain things come along and rekindle that passion. And I really feel as though I'm going to be pushing Kipbag a lot more in the next couple of years or so. Definitely.
Yeah, I think so, because it's been so well thought out that I've got a lovely story for you. That I was driving back from, it was when I was at Bethnal Green.
Yeah.
And I was on the way there and I stopped at the traffic lights. And when you get an awkward moment where someone's begging at the traffic lights, everyone starts going looking under. They all start looking under them, like, just so they don't make eye contact with him. You know what I mean? Yeah. And this bloke's going along, and I wound the window down. I went, "Are you sleeping out, mate?" I think he thought I was questioning him, like, whether he should get any money. I said, Are you sleeping out, mate? Or are you inside? He went, "No, I'm out." He said, "It's really like a struggle at the moment." I said, "Could you do with a sleeping bag?" He went, "Oh," he said, "I really, really could." And I had them in the van, but I had a couple in the front well. Yeah. I went, "Yeah, mate, have one of these." I said, "It's got a few bits in there as well,
Fantastic.
It was like I'd give someone else a packet, a bag of gold.
Yeah.
And you can tell when it's genuine.
It
was genuinely like over the moon, because it was. I suppose it's really for me. He wants a few coins, and someone hands him this. You can use this because it's I think it's a great story of how important your stuff is.
It is. It's a great feeling actually handing one, because normally we distribute them to outreach groups and homeless angels, that those kind of organisations. But sometimes we'll go out and actually hand them out ourselves as well. Even late at night, we're quite happy to walk around Birmingham giving them out. And there's that sense of what sort of sense is it? I don't know. It's not really a sense of achievement, because you're not patting yourself on the back, but it's a sense that you're changing someone's life just slightly. Don't get me wrong. We're not getting them out of homelessness, and we don't claim to be able to solve homelessness. But if we can just do that one small thing, just to give a little bit of comfort and a little bit of dignity to someone, then it feels great.
Yeah, well, we funny enough, you mentioned we've got a lovely centre in Birmingham we go to, and I should be visiting next year, early.
Oh, right.
Next year, so we'll have to. Are you based in? Do you live in Birmingham?
I'm about half an hour out. I'm out in the sticks, the other side of Stafford.
Yeah, but we'll have to try and see if you're free that day.
Oh, definitely, yeah. It only takes me half an hour to get into Birmingham.
Yeah, and you can see us in action.
Yeah.
It might be nearer, because this place is just outside City Road, I think.
Right.
We've got a lovely project there, which hopefully is going to continue. Because like a lot of these places, they struggle to keep going because they're not big independent, they're not big massive charities. Little independent places where people get together and try and help people. They have the same struggles of finding enough money for the rent and all these things. But yeah, it'd be nice to see each other.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I'll organise that. But and recently we've had the call again from the Duchess, and you actually come to my house, didn't you? And dropped off.
I did, yeah.
A shitload of.
Got your name completely wrong, but there you go.
Listen, mate, I've been called a lot worse than Matthew, I tell you, mate. Especially in my house. But yeah, I was so lucky that day because my wife was out and everyone was out. And my sister, we was working in the office with my sister.
Yeah.
So you turned up with 100 of these kids. So my wife would have actually flipped her because, bless her, she's very compassionate, but she does get the ump with all this stuff turning up at her house. So I've done it. Oh no, what you got now? temporary. But it was brilliant, and we went up there on Friday. I don't know what week it is. I think it was last Friday. We went up there to Knightsbridge. You know, an amazing place, and it's called Restart Lives.
Right, yeah.
Every Friday night in the middle of Knightsbridge, the most opulent part of London, you know, and there's a church, a big St Columba's Scottish church there.
Yeah.
Underneath, they serve between 80 and 100 people every Friday.
Oh wow, fantastic!
Food and everything, you know.
Yeah.
So your bags was given out.
Good. And
they sent along cakes, which I sampled and made sure they was right for everyone, you know.
Yeah.
And I think on sleeping bags from Sarah's Trust had hot water bottles.
Oh right, cool. Great idea.
Yeah, some hot water bottles. And people say, you know, like, well, how are they going to walk? But you know, you can, if you can get a cup of hot water from somewhere, you can fill it up. You know, you haven't got to have a kettle. You can beg still and borrow a cup of hot water, and then that does the trick as well. But it was brilliant. It was such a good evening, and they made it like a big party for everyone, you know, Christmas party, and it was.
Oh, cool!
Yeah, it really was a good thing. So so what's the plans then for next year, and what do you want to do going forward?
Well, going forward, what I want to do is first and foremost, I've got to update the website. It's because I've just whacked it together.
Ironic, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. I build all these stuff, but I don't take care of stuff that's really important. I mean, it's fully functional. Don't get me wrong. It's for anyone wanting to know, it's kipbag.com.
We'll put all that at the end. We'll make sure all the links.
Yeah.
You'll send me all the links, and we'll put that on.
So that's really the next stage, is to get that sorted. Myself and the trustees, and I've got to squeeze in their names if I may, because they're absolutely fundamental. There's 5 of us. There's me, there's Amy, Eric, Becky, and Graham all work together, and we share the workload. So if we get a big batch, one person will do it, and then the next time someone else will do it, and we all do it in our own time. We're all working full time, and we just crack on and just do it. Any expenses come out of our own pockets. That's how important it is for us. So we're going to get together next year, discuss what we want to do. We haven't got any set plans, but as long as we're still getting kit bags out on the streets, then job done.
Yeah, fantastic. You made me feel guilty now. My trustees are Millie Kendall OBE, Adam. Oh, my brain's gone. Well, my brain's gone. You know when you get an actual brain pop, right? Really, I think I'm going through my menopause. Adam Reed, celebrity hairdresser, and Andrew Pereira, who's a PR.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So we got some. Look, I'm going all red. I'm really embarrassed myself now. Brain part. But these two, like, I've never mentioned the trustees, and they do so much, and you need that driving force behind you, so that you can go off and do it. That's the thing.
Yeah,
they can take care.
Exactly. If it was just me, I think I would have. I wouldn't have been able to do it. Full stop.
No, and my work, like me and my sister, work alongside each other, and we've worked together for 30 odd years, probably coming up to 40 years now.
Wow.
We run a hairdressing salon together. Yeah. I was the flamboyant front of house, and she's the brains behind the action, and that's what it sort of fed over to this, and I think I'm grateful for that. It's important to shout out about the people that people don't see.
Yeah,
definitely.
I mean, it is, and I'd like to take this opportunity as well, just to really for you to get some recognition for what you do, because what you do, you've been doing it for so long, and you've changed over the course of years. You've changed so many lives for so many people, and what you do is truly amazing. The lot of you. So kudos to all of you.
Yeah.
You and your team.
I think the biggest change for me is I've changed my own life, and I think that's the thing. And
it is life changing, isn't it?
And you've done yours, where you all of that stuff that we want.
Yeah.
It still isn't enough until you find that nice counterbalance of something that's for someone else.
Yeah,
and then as you said it very well, and then the circle's complete. Then, I think that's a great thing to end it on. Thanks for giving me your time this morning. I know you're a busy man.
Yeah, it's all right. It has been an absolute honour and a delight to appear. Really,
no problem. And what we'll do, we'll make sure at the end of this, people like when you click on the link, there'll be all the links to the charities that are involved, Sarah's Trust, your charity and all that, to make sure that people can jump on and have a look. Well, have a great day, sir.
Yeah, will do. Thanks ever so much again.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.